Now look at verse 2. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. The words, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth," are easy enough to understand. But verse 2 is another story. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. What on earth is all that supposed to mean? Maybe you think you'll read a bit of the Bible and learn a bit, but then you think, I don't know. This Bible is actually very hard to understand. I have no idea what it is talking about. I just can't read it anymore, and you stop reading and close it. Please don't despair. Let's look into this matter. Take a look at this now. Out in space, helium merges to form a mass. Even now, far away in outer space, stars are forming in this way. And astronomers have been observing this. Now take a look at this article. The headline reads, "Watching as a star is born. Watching the birth of a star." I once went to the city of Sacramento, which is the capital of the state of California. I was visiting a man who shares the same faith as us, and he was working there at the town hall. While I was there, he gave me a copy of this article. I find this a very useful article. Even now, stars are being formed. First, the gas merges together. And then gradually, this becomes more and more solid. This is how the stars form. Last year, I went to San Francisco. There, beside the Golden Gate Bridge, is a park. And in that park, there's a movie theater where they show a movie about the wonders of the universe. And they show you something like this. How was the solar system formed originally? Gases merged together, and as this mass of gases revolved, the planets also formed. Jupiter formed, and the Earth formed. All the planets formed in this way. As the mass of gases continued to revolve, these planets formed and broke away from it. At first, it was all just gas. They show all this in the movie. So the sun is a ball of gas, and as it revolved, the Earth also came into existence. Now, let's take a look at the Earth. The Earth also started out as a lump of gas, a mass of helium gas. This gas accumulated and ignited due to internal pressure. It caught fire and began to burn. As it continued to burn, it changed little by little into molten liquid. The consistency of this molten liquid was like that of dough. The gas had ignited and turned to liquid. Then the outer layer of fire burned out. It burned itself out. It burned out. But internal pressure meant that the heat continued within the core. This is why the Earth is burning even now deep down at the core. Why are there so many earthquakes these days? Do you know why there are so many earthquakes? It's related to this heat. This tremendous heat here. This heat is tremendously powerful, and as a result, it affects the continental plates, causing them to rise and fall. That is how powerful this heat is. And this heat frequently melts the surface and bursts through. It also melts everything in its path below the surface. Lava bubbles away and melts the rock below the surface. It gradually melts the rock and bursts through to the surface. When Jesus' disciples asked him what would be the signs that this world was coming to an end, he said that there would be many earthquakes. We read this in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 24. He said that there would be many earthquakes, and that this was a sign that the world was drawing to an end. Right now, there are a tremendous number of people who die in earthquakes every year. And there are more and more earthquakes as the years go by. Why is that? It means the earth is coming towards the end of its life. It says this in the Bible. This is not something I have made up. We don't have time for me to tell you everything. Please read Isaiah chapter 24, verse 19. There it says clearly that someday the earth will be broken up and come to an end. The ultra-high temperatures within the earth, when this was all still liquid, due to the ultra-high internal temperatures, it was all bubbling away here. The surface was all bubbling away. It was bubbling away like a pot of stew when it's boiling. But is that all there was to it? Here and there, holes would have broken open and steam would have poured through the holes, wouldn't it? This was what it was like. What does this mean? Please repeat this after me. The earth was without form. This is what this is talking about. At that time, the earth was without form. When it says it was void, it is referring to the fact that there were no living beings on the earth at that time. And then it says that darkness was on the face of the deep. Why darkness? The sun was far away there, but the many waters of the oceans covered the earth's surface as a layer of cloud. The waters were there as vapor that formed this layer of cloud to cover the surface, so the surface was in darkness. The Bible says that darkness was on the face of the deep. Let's turn to another verse in the Bible. Job chapter 38, verse 8. Or who shut in the sea with doors, when it burst forth and issued from the womb. When I made the clouds its garments, and thick darkness its swaddling band. It says that the sea burst forth and issued from the womb. Just as a child comes forth from its mother's womb, the waters of the sea came forth from the womb that we call the earth. In verse 9 it says, when I made the clouds its garment, the earth was completely surrounded by cloud. The clouds were its garment. Now look what it says next. It says, and thick darkness its swaddling band. Swaddling bands are used to wrap newborn babies in. They were called swaddling cloths or swaddling bands. The earth was completely enveloped in thick darkness, like swaddling bands wrapped around a newborn baby. This is talking about the earth when it was first formed. This was written 3,500 years ago. This all came about by the laws of nature. It all happened according to laws. Clearly, it is because God created the world that everything was accomplished according to the laws of creation.
이 모든 것이 이루어진 것입니다.